Hello, my beautiful friends. I am Laurel Bleadon-Maffei with Illuminating Souls, welcoming you to this episode of Sleepy Bedtime Blessings, a podcast designed to help you rest, relax, and fall asleep, all while deepening in your connection with your beautiful team of angels who love you so. If we're meeting for the first time, allow me to introduce myself. I am an angelic practitioner, a spiritual teacher, and an encourager of souls. It's a wonderful job. I'm so blessed. I launched my company in 2006 and I've been doing this work full time ever since. I offer one-on-one angel sessions and soul mentoring and a beautiful collection of classes that will inspire your spirit. And I will say my classes are small in size, so if you do ever choose to take one of my classes, they happen over Zoom, and rarely are there more than 10 people in a class. So you really have the opportunity to receive one-on-one connection and attention and guidance. They're wonderful, and you will meet beautiful people in these classes. And you can learn more at my website, illuminatingSouls.com, where you can also sign up for my mailing list. You have two different options when signing up for my mailing list. You can choose both of them if you would like. At the top of the page, you can sign up for my regular list, where you will receive all of my announcements. And further down on the page, you can opt into the daily inspiration email blast, and you will receive an inspiring email from me every weekday. I also post daily over at Facebook. So if at some point over the years you have liked the Illuminating Souls Facebook page, but you never see any content from me, just go on over to the page and like or comment on something so I can show back up in your feed. Because I'm here, I post content all the time. And so I'm so grateful for this opportunity to be with you, that you found your way to this episode of this broadcast. What a blessing it is to be together with you. As I record this, it is early morning, and it's raining outside. It feels so cozy here right now, and so I share this coziness with you. It's still dark out, and the energy that is flowing through for us right now is so sweet. And whenever you listen, this energy will join you in lifetime. It's one of the things that I find so amazing about working with angels and divine love, that the energy is not solely contained in the moment that I speak of it. It can find you in lifetime whenever you listen. That the angels will bring you this love, this sweetness of energy. All you have to do is just receive. You can take a beautiful breath in and out, and just allow your angels to bring this loving energy to you. So, as the title says, this is a sleep podcast, but you're welcome to listen to it at any time during your day or night. I know many of you listen in your waking hours. I'm delighted that I am producing content that is worthy of your waking consciousness. And I also know that many of you, like me, use this as a sleep aid. And if you've never worked with a sleep podcast before, there's no right or wrong way to do it, but I can share with you what I do. I listen to a sleep podcast every night to help me drift off to sleep. So I curl up in bed. I love bedtime, so I'm so happy when it's time for me to go to bed. And I sleep with lots of blankets and pillows, especially right now because it's cooler in the evenings here. And I pick an episode of a podcast to listen to. Right now I'm listening to The Sleepy Bookshelf. It's one of my favorites. I love the host Elizabeth's voice, and she reads different books. And the one right now she recorded, I think sometime in November or December. I think it's called Cranford, something like that. I'm not going to go look it up, but what's so funny is I have listened to the first episode of that book at least 6 times over the past 48 hours because I keep waking up in the middle of the night. I still have no idea what this book is about. I haven't made it through enough of the first chapter to understand where this book is taking me, which is great because it means I am getting a lot of mileage out of the episode. I just keep fast forwarding to the last part I remember, which honestly is not very far in. I think I now have made it maybe 9 or 10 minutes into the episode. I still have no idea what's going on. It's about a town in England, and it's mostly women because men are off working or at war or some reason. Men are not around as much, and that's as much as I can tell you. So I think there are, 10 or 12 episodes. So perhaps that will last me for the next month or so. I don't know. It depends on what my sleep schedule is like. But sleep podcasts have brought me a lot of comfort and a lot of joy over the years, which is why I decided to create this one for you. Because I love getting to create content for you and for me too. I enjoy the creative process of making a podcast. So if you feel like you have a podcast in you, I totally support you in creating one. It's so much easier than you would imagine to create a podcast. So here we are on a rainy Tuesday morning as I record this, and for you it might be a Thursday night, whenever it is that you're listening. This love, this sweetness is being broadcast for you. So I invite you to get comfortable in whatever way works best for you. I know sometimes comfort is elusive, so whatever that means to you in this moment. And maybe take a few nice deep breaths in and out. We breathe all the time because if we didn't, we wouldn't be here. But there is something about the intentional, focused breath that helps us to come into stillness and receptivity for the love that is here. And I feel the angels with us now. There is so much love flowing through for you. And even if angels aren't your thing, love is, so just allow yourself to receive the love. And I'm going to invite the angels to be with us. They're already here, but I love getting to share the ritual with you. So we'll take another deep breath in as we gently call ourselves forward into the heart of God, or into the heart of the loving universe, whatever words you use to describe all the love that is. Beautiful angels on high, I invite you to join us here. I ask that you infuse this broadcast with waves of love and healing, understanding, and inspiration in service to each of our beloveds listening. That wherever they are, whenever they are hearing this message, that this beautiful love flows to them gracefully And angels, help each one of us on our authentic path, helping us to remember the beauty of our spirits, helping us to move forward in ways that will delight us. So dear ones, just take some nice deep breaths in and release. And one of my favorite ways to work with the angels is to ask for their help, and you can be as specific or direct as you want. Or you can just say, angels, help. I don't even know what I need help with, but help. And the request for help is heard. Another way I love to contemplate this is, what do you sense is up for you right now? Whether it's up for healing, whether it's up for contemplation, whether you're clearing an old pattern, or you're wanting to see something through new eyes. You can ask your angels for help with this. For instance, for me, I am dancing with the possibility of a new project. And it's one I've been exploring for the last, 6 weeks or so. And a lot of it is new to me. So I'm on a learning curve. And there are a lot of options, and I don't yet know which way to go. And it's not something I want to figure out with my mind. I have a really strong intellect, as I'm sure you do as well. So it's not that I can't, write a list of pros and cons and get clarity through my intellect. It's not that that part of us is not helpful. It's incredibly helpful. But I am seeking divine inspiration. I want to co-create from the higher realms. I want to feel inspired. I want to feel guided. I want to feel as if there is a joy and lightness to what I'm doing. And so I ask the angels for help with this. So you can be as specific or as ambiguous as you want, but what's up for you? What are you navigating? And how can the angels support you? So just take a nice breath in and let go of whatever feels like it's been weighing you down. Just letting go. I don't know why I feel guided to share this right now, but one of the concepts that always brings me comfort is that we are ever evolving beings. That we're always evolving, and we're learning, and we're healing, and we're growing. We're exploring. We're curious. We're ever evolving beings. Many years ago, right around the 2012, remember, I don't know how many of you remember all the energy with the 2012, the portal, everything's going to change. And the energy was just crazy. And I was in one of my angel circles, and someone asked Josephus, when is the energy going to kind of go back to normal? I don't remember exactly how we asked the question, but in essence, that was what it was. And Josephus, and if you don't know, Josephus is the group of guides that I channel. And Josephus said, well, we have good news and bad news. The bad news is it's not. It's not going back to whatever you perceived as normal. It's changing. It's ramping up. It's different. But here's the good news. The good news is you are an ever-evolving being. And you, within you, are always acclimating. You have the capacity to acclimate. And so you are shifting as the energy shifts. And they liken it to if you've ever been on a boat for a long period of time, you get used to the movement, or if you've ever traveled to a city that has a higher altitude and you're there long enough, you acclimate. And so as we move through these shifts of energy, it's not that the energy goes back to where it was. That never can be. The world never goes back. It's always a work in progress. It's ever changing, ever evolving, as are we, even though those changes might be so profoundly subtle that we can't perceive them. But this capacity is a part of us. So just breathe on that. And I don't know why the angels asked me to share this with you in this episode, but here it is. We are ever evolving beings. One of the things that so delights me about this journey is I never know where the opportunity of growth is going to come from, where I'm going to learn something new. Last year I discovered Midjourney and AI-generated art and changed everything for me. I have discovered a creative spirit that I have been dreaming of for so many years, but I lacked the ability, the tactile ability to bring it into the world. And now AI has provided me this opportunity to create art that my heart has felt for years now. I didn't know that that was going to be a thing. So I don't know what's coming this year or the year after. But here's what I know. We are ever evolving beings. And so we always have the opportunity to expand and grow and learn and be present in the world that shifts. Even as I'm recording this, it started off in the dawn of the morning when it was still dark out. And just in the 17 or so minutes, because I can see my recording, the sun has started to come out and the sky has lightened. That happens every day, subtly. It's subtle. And it's not. It's dramatic, right? One moment it's dark and then there's the light, which I think is a phenomenal metaphor. So there's so much love here for you, and I hope you can feel it and receive it. The angels say thank you for opening your heart and allowing them to support you. You don't have to do this alone. And so they're here with you, and they hear your prayers, and they know what is happening in your life, and they're here to support and love you. So my beautiful friend, just cozy on up and snuggle on in. And if it is your bedtime, allow yourself to rest and drift off whenever you can, whenever you're ready. I hope that sleep comes easily to you. And if you're going to still be awake, I'll be here keeping you company. And there's over 230 episodes in the archive, so you can set up a playlist and I can be in conversation with you all through the night. So we're here with you and we love you. And with that, my sweet ones, we're going to move on over into story time. And I've got a really fun story time for us. So in August or September of last year, I went to an estate sale. And this estate sale was for people, I think, who must have had an antique store. They were collectors. And they had big collections of many things, including cookbooks and recipe pamphlets. And if you listened, you know that I have a passion for old community cookbooks, and I read them here on the podcast. And there were so many pamphlets and cookbooks that it overwhelmed me. I didn't know what to pick. I didn't want everything, and I didn't know how to cherry pick things, and so I did my best. And the next day I brought Wes with me, my husband, because he has the ability of seeing details in the chaos. Seriously, if you're ever going into an antique store or an antique mall and you need somebody to see the details of what's there, invite Wes. He's amazing. So he went back with me the second day and helped me find some more things. So this pamphlet that we are going to flip through in this episode comes from that sale. It's a little pamphlet, and you might remember these from the grocery store. I mean, this one was before I was born, but, there would be dietetic cookbooks and things and pamphlets or cooking in your slow cooker kind of thing and at the checkout line. And so I think this was one of those little pamphlets you would have bought at the checkout line. And it says, Simple Diet Desserts. So if you listen, you know that I have this thing for dietetic and low-cal recipes of the 50s, 60s, and 70s, because that's when I came of age. And this is kind of the thinking about food that I grew up with, that I am still trying to disconnect from. So I find these to be so fun. Like, there's just such nostalgia in it. So it says, special low-calorie ice cream, easily made in your refrigerator. And it was 35 cents to buy this. Okay, and this is a little aside. It says, forward by Dr. Leonard K. Hirschberg, MD. And then there is a forward. And they talk about all of his achievements. So I thought, wow, I wonder if this guy was big in the diet community back then. And I went to look him up, and he has a storied past. He was involved in some quackery medicine. And then there's, I really don't know the context of this, but they said as he got older, into his 60s, 70s, and 80s, he always had a young woman on his arm. He had a thing for young women. So it all kind of gave me the heebie-jeebies. So I'm not going to read all of that to you. I just thought that was an interesting aside. And this was published in 1956. So we have the biography of Dr. Hirschberg, which I will not read to you, but he was born in 1877, so a long, long time ago. And then there is an introduction about why this is such a phenomenal recipe book, because, they're low calories. They're not going to add pounds. So let's dive right in. We're going to start off with ice cream, ices, and sherbets section. And the first recipe is low-calorie coffee ice cream. I don't know about you, but I love coffee ice cream. Jamocha almond fudge from Baskin-Robbins is a flavor profile from my childhood because my mom always liked coffee ice cream. I like a frappuccino, right? We're so coffee-centric these days. And I don't have frappuccinos because I don't eat sugar anymore, but I do make a very delicious smoothie every morning, and I put some coffee in it. So I have a coffee flavored smoothie every morning that I love. But let's see, if we were going to make this low calorie coffee ice cream in the late 50s, how they would have us make it. So 2 8-ounce cups of double strength skim milk, using a 1/4 cup of dry skim milk powder for each cup. Okay, so you're going to use the milk out of the bottle. And listen, if it's 1958, you have a glass bottle of milk, probably delivered by the milkman. I'm old enough that I remember having a milkman deliver our milk to a metal pail outside of our house. So, and then you would add some powdered milk to that, so it becomes double strength milk. 2 teaspoons of sugar. Like, don't get excited, just 2 teaspoons. 2 teaspoons of liquid sweetener. The 50s was an amazing time for sweeteners. Saccharin was the thing, and we were using it everywhere. 1 teaspoon of vanilla, 1 envelope of unflavored gelatin, 1 tablespoon of cold water, and 2 tablespoons of instant powdered coffee. Remember the Folgers grounds, the instant coffee, or the Sanka? How many of you remember Sanka, the decaf? So you place the double-strength skim milk, sugar, liquid sweetener, and vanilla in a saucepan. Heat over a low flame until just warm but not hot. Remove from heat dissolved gelatin in cold water. Add to warm milk and stir. Add 2 tablespoons of instant coffee and stir until well mixed and put in a freezer tray. And then let stand at room temperature for about 10 minutes, and then you place it in the freezer. Turn the dial to the highest point and freeze firm. And then you break it into chunks and place it into a large chilled bowl and beat by hand or with an electric mixer until smooth. So you would make some kind of ice cream concoction, and I never made this, but I definitely remember trying to make fake ice cream when I would be doing the Weight Watchers things as a kid. Because who didn't love ice cream? Which we could not have. So we would try to make concoctions like this back then. And this is part of this recipe booklet that, I don't know, I'm going to be finding amusing throughout the whole booklet. So this is 390 calories. And let's just go back to what it has. It has 2 cups of milk. Basically, it's 2 cups of milk, right? And you put everything else in there. And it says this serves 6. Like 6 what? 6 hamsters? Like 6? 2 cups of milk with other stuff in it. So maybe it's a total of 2.5 cups of something. Do you know how small 2.5 cups of something is? So it's saying it's only 65 calories a serving. Well, yeah, if you're a hamster, I mean, that's not going to be enough for anybody. Okay, but that aside, they then will have low-calorie chocolate ice cream, which follows a similar kind of concoction, but you're going to use 1 square of unsweetened baking chocolate melted. How many of you remember the unsweetened baker's chocolate? I remember my mom would have it, and as a kid I was so disappointed because it tasted awful. So here would be this thing that looked like chocolate, but was not edible. And you're also going to be putting in 2 egg whites beaten. So, there's that. Okay, how about an orange sherbet? Now, if you listen to my ice cream episode, you will know my feelings on sherbet. I don't know why. For some reason, we perceived that sherbet was healthier than ice cream. Maybe because it had the illusion of fruit in it. But I remember my mom would usually have sherbet rather than ice cream in the house. So I'm not a big sherbet fan. I mean, sherbet's good. If I had nothing else, fine. But I would never go into a Baskin-Robbins and order sherbet over ice cream. Ever. But here is orange sherbet. That's our 6. And the whole thing is 432 calories. So 1.5 cups of orange juice. Okay, so I was wrong. There is going to be fruit in this. So 1.5 cups of orange juice, 1.5 teaspoons of unflavored gelatin, 3/4 cup of water. Ooh, 1/4 cup of sugar. It has sugar. We're not using, there is liquid sweetener. Hold on, I haven't gotten there yet. 1/4 cup of skim milk, 2 tablespoons of grated orange rind, 1 teaspoon of lemon juice, 1.5 teaspoons of liquid sweetener, 2 egg whites beaten stiff, and a pinch of salt. So you're kind of dissolving everything and mixing it all together, and you're going to freeze it, and then you're going to beat it with a rotary beater until it's mushy, and then you're going to freeze it again. And there you go. You're going to have some orange sherbet. my mom never made this, but this would have been the kind of thing she would have made for me. And we would have probably thought it's good for us because it has orange juice and milk and eggs. What's bad about it? It's a good thing. Here's one. Raspberry ice. So 1 quart of raspberries, which is good. So there's fruit involved. This is the one that gets me. 24 sweetener tablets. How many of you remember those little teeny tablets of saccharin? My mom used to have a little dish that had the little tablets. They were so super sweet. I can't imagine how sweet 24 tablets would be. 1 cup of water, 4 egg whites, 1 tablespoon of lemon juice, and 1 tablespoon of orange juice. And you kind of go through the whole thing again. Mixing it, freezing it, beating it. And this is 468 calories, and it serves 4 people, which is a little more reasonable. I could see 4 people sharing a quart of raspberries, I guess. Okay, we'll keep going. Okay, we're now into cakes, pies, and cookies, and we are going to have a lot of fun in this section, just so you know. Let me start off with the low-calorie, easy, E-Z, cheesecake. 4 eggs, 1 tablespoon of liquid sweetener, half a cup of flour, 1 cup of evaporated milk, 1 teaspoon of vanilla, 2 tablespoons of lemon juice, 3 cups of cottage cheese, 1 slice of white bread toasted and crumbled, half a teaspoon of salt, and a pinch of cinnamon. Now, you know that you are in a vintage dietetic recipe when it involves cottage cheese, liquid sweetener, and a slice of white bread. This is vintage Weight Watchers. This is not a Weight Watchers recipe, so I'm not trying to assign it to Weight Watchers, but there are many Weight Watchers recipes from the 60s and 70s that would include these in a recipe. So we're beating stuff, mixing it, we're putting the cottage cheese through a sieve, beating it until it's smooth, and you're making breadcrumbs out of the piece of bread. So it serves 8 at 172 calories per slice. Okay, nothing about that sounds good. And this is a great recipe because this is very, this other recipe I'm going to read to you. Let me just give you the title first. International Settlement Soybean Muffins. So in the 50s and the 60s and the 70s, we were kind of going through this. If it's soybean, millet, like it's got to be healthy for you, right? I grew up thinking granola is good for you. It's granola. Never mind that granola is like 500 calories a cup and filled with sugar. So this would be the kind of thing that we would think, oh, this will be good. So 1 egg, 1/3 of a cup of soybean flour. I don't know where you would have found that in Skokie in 1958. 1/3 of a cup of bran. We were also big on bran back then. 1 teaspoon of ginger, 1 teaspoon of salt, 1 1/8 gram sweetener tablet. I don't know. Oh, I see. It's 1, and then it's the 1/8 gram sweetener tablet. So those are those little tiny tablets. 1 tablespoon of dried currants. Only a tablespoon. Like, do you know how small a tablespoon of dried currants is? Think of like small dried raisins. It's almost nothing. 1 tablespoon of mineral oil, half a cup of water, 1 teaspoon almond extract, and 1.5 teaspoons of baking soda, and only 1 teaspoon of butter. Only 1. Like, that's just schmear. That's like not enough of anything. And okay, all right, I'm just going to ask you. So you just heard the ingredients. How many servings do you think this makes? Like, I'm thinking 1, 2. But also, in 2024, muffins are gargantuan. Like, if you're going to have a muffin, it's going to be huge. It serves 8. Come on. 1 teaspoon of butter and 1 tablespoon of currants. It serves 8. Okay, you get a currant, I get a currant, and he gets a currant, basically, in this muffin. So it's only going to be 35 calories a muffin, but each muffin is probably the size of a quarter here in the U.S. I just think that's so funny. I'm a volume girl. Like, don't even bother. Don't even bother. If you eat the whole thing, though, it's only 280 calories, which is far less calories than a muffin you would get now at any store. I was shocked at how many calories were in a muffin. There was a time, I don't know when they started putting calories on everything. Was it in the 90s? Whenever it was, that a law got passed that everything needed calories on it. I was shocked at how many calories were in a muffin. Because I grew up thinking bran muffins were good for you. Isn't that what we thought? Bran muffins were good. Never mind, they're like 500 calories. Unless you have 1/8 of an international settlement soybean muffin with your 1 currant. Okay, we'll keep going. Okay, I'm going to bring you to one of my favorites that I found so far. Again, we're going to make fun of how many servings this is. So listen, and then see if you can figure out how many servings are in this cookie recipe. It's for cookies. I will give you that. It's low-calorie peanut butter cookies. Because who does not like a good peanut butter cookie? Like, already I'm excited. I love peanut butter cookies. So 3.5 teaspoons of liquid sweetener. 1 tablespoon of butter or margarine melted and cooled. 1/2 cup of peanut butter. 2 eggs lightly beaten. 1 cup of enriched flour sifted. 1/2 cup of skim milk and 1/4 teaspoon of baking powder. And I'm not going to tell you how to make it, right? We're going to basically blend everything together. If you're really going to make these, you can email me and I'll give you the rest of the recipe. But my question for you is, how many servings do you think this makes? So we've got 1 cup of flour, 1/2 cup of peanut butter, and 2 eggs. 40. 40. Like, each cookie must be the size of a nickel here in the U.S. It says the whole recipe is 1,360 calories. So it's only 34 calories a cookie. It's like a Costco sample. Like, they don't count if they're only 34 calories, but how would you even get a cookie that small? How would you get 40 cookies out of this recipe? I don't know. So, anyways, that one just amused me to no end. I was like, you people are crazy. This is why I grew up with food issues. This is where it was seated for me. Here's another one. Low-calorie Zwieback pie crust. How many of you remember Zwieback? Do they even make it anymore? They were like these, they kind of were shaped like a biscotti, or if you're Jewish, mandelbread, but that's where the resemblance ended. They were dry, crusty, supposed to be like a little sweet thing, that were often given to babies who were teething because they were so hard they could just gum them for a long time. So this pie crust, you take 7 Zwieback crushed very fine, 1/4 cup of non-fat dry milk, 1 tablespoon of butter softened, 1 tablespoon of powdered sugar, 1 tablespoon of milk, and 1/4 teaspoon of liquid sweetener. And you would make that into a pie crust. Because we couldn't be trusted with a graham cracker pie crust. Like, really, what's the difference? Calorically, not much. So, anyways, like, I remember Zwieback because that was a diet food we could eat. even though they were terrible. You would just kind of gnaw on this thing and leave a trail of crumbs wherever you went. Okay, this one I am sharing for my friend David who listens. So David, this one is for you. Not that you needed to be on a diet as a kid, but just saying. Halloween pumpkin tarts, because Halloween is David's favorite holiday. So, okay, so here we go. 2.5 tablespoons of non-fat milk powder, 2 sweetener tablets, 1 egg, a half a cup of canned pumpkin. That is such a small amount of pumpkin. That's what? A quarter of the can of the Libby's pumpkin. A pinch of salt, a dash of ginger, a dash of powdered cloves, 1/8 of a teaspoon of cinnamon, 1 teaspoon grated lemon rind, and 3/4 cup of water. So basically, it's watery canned pumpkin that has been sweetened and put some spices in it with some non-fat milk powder. And you're going to bake it. Oh, how disappointing that would be. Bran alert, we have a Swedish bran puffs recipe here. And, let me go back. Let's backtrack to Halloween pumpkin tarts. 3 servings for that. How? There is not enough volume for 3 servings of anything there. Okay, I'm going to skip over the bran puffs. There's a spiced carrot loaf cake, because, carrot cake is good for you, right? It involves carrots. Okay, this must be a profoundly disappointing recipe here. Edinburgh Scotch shortbread. Okay, who here has never had a good piece of shortbread? It is heaven. Heaven. Butter, flour, sugar. Like, shortbread is a gift from the gods. Okay, all right. And again, let's do a guessing game of how many servings this recipe is going to make. I promise you're not going to get it right. 1 cup of non-salted butter. A half a cup of brown sugar. Like, already it sounds like a real recipe, right? But 1.5 teaspoons of liquid sweetener. 2 cups of cake flour. And 1 teaspoon of vanilla. So this is giving you an illusion of a real recipe, right? But it's cutting back on the brown sugar to add the liquid sweetener. So I have hope. I have hope until we get to how many servings do you think this makes? Again, so a cup of butter and 2 cups of flour and half a cup of brown sugar. If you bake, you know, right? How many servings do you think this makes? 60. 60. Like, you would have to borrow the spoon from a doll's tea set to measure out 60 servings from this. Because if you make 60, it's only 44 calories a cookie. So it's dietetic. But the whole recipe is 2,640 calories, which is understandable because of the butter and the flour. But truthfully, a recipe of this size would probably only make 10 cookies in real life. Okay, so I don't know why this is amusing me so much. And if it's not amusing you, I'm hoping it's putting you to sleep. One of the two. All right, let me share another one with you, which is miraculous in terms of the serving size. Pecan walnut macaroons. Now, we already know it's going to involve nuts, which are very high in calories. So 1 egg white. Only 1 egg white for you, which is basically no calories. A half a cup of brown sugar. So we're going to get some sugar in this. 24 sweetener tablets. I can just already taste that metallic fake sweetener taste. a half a cup of walnuts, and a half a cup of pecans. So you're going to have a cup of nuts. So in terms of volume, you're going to beat the egg whites, so you're going to try and get some volume that way. Okay, fair enough. So 1 beaten egg white, a half a cup of brown sugar, and a cup of nuts. How many macaroons do you think you're supposed to get out of this? 48. If you said 48, you are correct. Like, how does that happen? How do you get 48 servings out of a cup and a half of anything? I can just see them around the test kitchen with tiny hamster-sized cookies, thinking, I think I got it. This is going to be fantastic. Women around America are going to thank us for our innovation. We're now moving into the puddings part of the book, and they have rice pudding. Now, I actually love rice pudding. And I've made different versions of it over the years, sweetened with agave or maple syrup. I haven't made it in years, but I love a good rice pudding. And actually, there is a store in Santa Cruz, I don't know why I say the T, Santa Cruz, called Staff of Life, that makes a rice pudding sweetened, I think with chicory syrup or something. That is so good that whenever we go to Santa Cruz, I have to stop and get some because it's rice pudding that I can eat. But here's rice pudding. Again, we're going to play the serving game. We've got a 1/4 cup of rice, which is really only going to cook up to a cup of rice, right? Because rice cooks times 4 usually. 1 quart of skim milk scalded. So that's a lot of milk for a 1/4 cup of rice. A 1/4 teaspoon of nutmeg. I think it's 1/8 teaspoon of salt, 1 teaspoon of vanilla, and 1 teaspoon of liquid sweetener. And this is not going to make much rice pudding. It serves 5. I would not be happy. Now this recipe I'm going to read you actually sounds kind of good. So it's sweet potato pudding, a Hawaiian, and forgive if you're Hawaiian, if this doesn't sound the least bit Hawaiian, apologies. 3 medium-sized sweet potatoes. So I'm all in. I love sweet potatoes. And if we use the Japanese sweet potatoes, even better because they're so sweet. A half a cup of pineapple juice, a half a cup of shredded coconut, 1.5 cups of skim milk, a pinch of salt, and 1 sweetener tablet, which the truth is you don't even need because the sweet potatoes are so sweet. So you peel, wash, and boil the sweet potatoes until they are quite soft. Mash the potatoes, mix milk, sweetener, and pineapple juice and pour over hot potatoes. Sprinkle shredded coconut over potato mixture and blend well together with a fork. Add salt and bake 25 minutes at 375 degrees, cool, and serve. That actually kind of sounds good to me. And it serves 6, which I can understand. Each person gets half a sweet potato. But you know what? They don't tell you how big sweet potatoes should be. And I don't know what they say medium, 3 medium. But I don't know what the expectation is of a medium-sized sweet potato in 1958. It might be very different than our sweet potatoes today. So, serve 6, 164 calories per serving. Okay, here's one for Highlander's Butterscotch Pudding Spicy. And when they're saying spicy, I think they're meaning like gingerbread spicy, not jalapeno spicy. So you take 2 envelopes of butterscotch pudding, the dietetic type preferred, of course. I love the butterscotch flavor profile so much. 1 tablespoon of black coffee, very strong, just a tablespoon though. The rind of 1/4 of an orange grated, and then there's going to be 1/4 teaspoon of nutmeg, ginger, allspice, a dash of cloves, a cup of skim milk, and half a cup of water. So basically you're just making the butterscotch dietetic pudding and putting other flavor profiles with it. And it serves 4. Again, very small dishes of Highlander's butterscotch pudding. I would not be satisfied. Okay, I also, before we depart this little booklet, which I will probably come back to at some point, I need to share with you the height and weight charts of what the expectation was back in the 50s. So I'm between 5'5" and 5'6". We'll talk about me, because why not? It says, now I probably have a medium frame. I'm not a large frame, although I wish I could be because the weight would be much more realistic. It says I should weigh, with a medium frame, 136 pounds. I can't tell you the last time I weighed 136 pounds. It was probably grammar school. If I'm on a large frame, I can go up to 148. Yay me. But here's the thing that I thought was so interesting about this. It's the estimated daily calorie needs. So it says for a woman who's 5'6", with a medium frame, it's 2,040 calories, which is I think it's a decent amount of food. So the math isn't mathing for me here. That at 2,000 calories at my height, they're saying that I should be able to maintain a weight of 138 pounds. Oh, that were true. It messes with my mind. It really does. Like, if I can have 2,000 calories a day, what do I need dietetic butterscotch pudding for? Or a hamster-sized cookie? Clearly, something's off. But this is the mindset that I was born into. This is my mom's mindset. This was my mom's mindset. This was all of the women's magazines' mindset. This was what I was born into. And 2,000 calories is a good amount of food. I'm not going to be deprived of 2,000 calories. So I just find it fascinating. And then it gives us some math that I absolutely grew up knowing. Maybe you know this if you have been a perpetual dieter. Do you know what they say in terms of your calorie deficit? What does your calorie deficit need to be to lose 1 pound? 3,500 calories. I've known this forever. And it's not true. It's not true. We now know this is not true, but here it is back in the 50s, written in black and white. So it says, the charts indicating daily calorie needs are based on an average activity and disposition. It says, in order to lose 1 pound of weight, you must do without approximately 3,500 calories. If you eat 600 calories less a day than your body requires, you should lose 1 pound every 6 days. You should. Without the aid of tablets, pills, shots, etc. And then when you reach your normal weight, you may then increase your food intake. This is what was drilled into me. And this is what broke my heart. That if I reduced my calorie consumption, I should lose 1 pound a week. And that's not how it works, because we now understand this is a metabolic disorder. Much more complicated than that, but this was what was thought to be true back then. So it's so interesting, in this episode I'm talking about that we're ever evolving beings and we're in an ever evolving world. And in the past 10 years, so much more is known about people like me who maintain higher body weight. And the theories have brought me so much healing because I spent so much of my life thinking this was my fault. Because I just have to eat 600 calories less a day and I'm going to lose a pound a week. And then once that's done, I can go back and add those 600 calories in, because then I should be able to eat 2,000 calories a day and be 138 pounds. Oh, that were true. I would not have spent decades being so confused. So I'm going to just send a whole lot of healing light, asking the angels to help through time and space, through the timeline of my life and my mom's life, and every woman who read this little booklet and tried to follow the instructions and tried to squeeze 60 cookies out of 2 cups of material. God bless our hearts. We always try our best, don't we? We try to understand what can be very complicated circumstances, and we try our best. So God bless my heart. God bless your heart. God bless the heart of everyone who ever carried around that little glass bottle of those saccharin tablets. Because it was a thing. So anyways, I don't know why I'm so amused by this, but also I think that it's a kind of an anthropological snapshot, if you will. Maybe that's too heady. A societal snapshot of what our beliefs were back then. And thank God we're evolving and understanding things in a much more respectful way, with more dignity and compassion. So thank God we live right now. I'm grateful to be here with you. So thank you so much for letting me share this with you. I hope you got some amusement out of it, or you're asleep. And I'm so grateful for our time together. I wish you the sweetest of dreams, and we'll connect again soon. I love you, and I'm grateful for you. Thank you.